Hi guys, it's Meridy here with Not Just for Boys Kit Club, and today we are learning how to put together the layout for the page kit called Aquamarine Autumn Days. And first I'm going to show you what's included in your kit. So first you're going to get a roll of washi tape. It's 30 feet long and it's black and white plaid. It's a Christmas washi originally, but it matches this kit really good. And then you're going to get these Cocoa Vanilla Daydreams titles, die cut titles. There are 29 different pieces in here and they all say different words: happy, together, life, moments. I'm going to turn it over. It's all these different words: big, heart, this, family, together. You can make little sentences out of it or little phrases out of them, or you could just use them one on a page. So those are cool. And then you're going to get this amazing 49 to Market acetate pieces. It's 54 pieces. And they're acetate. Let me show you. There's a lot of leaves and ferns, and then there are also quite a few butterflies. I know butterflies aren't super masculine, but the color scheme of these is all these shades of blues and teals. And if you don't want to use the butterflies, then there's tons and tons of ferns and leaves in here. I actually didn't even use any of the butterflies on my layout for this. And then even the packaging is cool on this and can be used as a layer. I believe I do use it as a layer too. So there's those. And then there's one thing of DMC floss, and it's variegated. So it's like yellows and blues and greens. And I think there's a little gray maybe in there where they go from one color to the next. And then you're going to get the following papers. You're going to get one of the Jen Hadfield's Live and Let Grow papers, and that's the B-side, and one of the Simple Stories Simple Vintage Weathered Garden papers, and that's the B-side, and one of the Simple Stories Hearth and Home Journal Elements. This is the B-side, and then these are the journal elements, and I did cut apart and use some of those in my layout. And then you're going to get one piece of Basil Blue Calypso cardstock. It's textured. And two pieces of American Crafts straw cardstock. It's also textured. And one sheet of smooth white cardstock. So this is what you're going to get in your kit. And you're also going to have a sheet of instructions, and on your instructions, on the back side of the instructions, there are cut guides, how you cut all these papers down. So you're going to want to do that first. Go cut all your papers to how it's outlined on the back of your instructions, and I'm going to go do that, and I'll be right back to show you how to put this kit together. Alrighty guys, so I got all my papers cut down to the same sizes that I need, and these are going to represent my photos on my layouts. So these are 4x6 photos, landscape orientation, and what I did here is I trimmed each one 1/4 of an inch off of two sides so that these photos are really 3 3/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. It just makes them a lot easier to mat on a 12x12 with 12x12 sheets of paper without any waste. So I trimmed my photos down slightly. So these three are going on the second half, and this one is going on the first half that we're going to start with. So what you can do is get your white cardstock that comes in your kit and go ahead and mat this 4x6 photo that you've slightly trimmed down onto this white cardstock. And then you can cut this. So you're actually going to cut the photo mat is going to be exactly 6 inches by 4 inches. That is how, what am I doing? 6 inches by 4 inches is, sorry about that, that was really confusing. Your photo mat will be exactly 6 inches by 4 inches. So it will fit this photo that you've slightly cropped. And actually I'm gonna go ahead, because my other side of my layout, all three photos are matted together on one long piece of 6 inches by 12 inches long paper. So if you have 3 landscape photos for that second half, you can cut out a 6 inch by 12 inch piece of that white cardstock, and you can go ahead and mat these on there too. We'll just do that right now so we don't have to do it later. And the way that I like to mat these is I mat the top one and the bottom one. That way I can get the middle one right in the middle with even space right there and right there. Okay, now we can go ahead and put these off to the side because we're going to work on the left-hand side of the page first. So you're going to want to start with this piece of paper that you've gutted. And as you can see, mine is slightly ripped right here. That's because I was taking photos of this kit and I put washi tape down on it. And when I tore the washi tape off, it tore some of the paper because I did it weird. I'm not really sure why. Usually washi tape doesn't tear paper. So you've got this gutted piece of the plaid paper, and you are going to put right on top of that a gutted piece of this teal paper that's 11. It's a little smaller than the plaid paper. You'll put it like that, and then we're going to mat right inside of that. We're going to, this layout just has like multiple mats around it. So next we're going to put this smaller piece of this oatmeal colored cardstock. And we'll go right like that. So next we will take this piece of the Jen Hadfield paper, and we're going to go ahead and tear towards us just down one side like this. This is the middle size piece. There's 3 different sizes: a small width, a medium width, and a larger width. This one is the medium. It's like right in the middle. I can't remember off the top of my head how many inches this was, but I know it's the middle size one. And then we're going to take this. So what you're going to want to do, you had all of these that we cut apart. You're going to take whichever is your least favorite, whether it be this strip or this strip, whichever one you foresee yourself using the least, because these are going to be used in a little bit. Whichever one you see yourself using the least, and you're going to go ahead and tear down both sides of it. Tear up towards you to expose the white core on both sides. Okay, and once you get both sides torn, then you're just going to want to take your paper trimmer and trim kind of right down the middle of this. So you're going to use one piece on this page and one piece on the second side. So we'll put that off to the side. All right, now you can tell I want these 2 torn papers to just be as big as this oatmeal colored paper. So you're going to go ahead and trim off the little ends so that they're the same size. I think it's 10.5 inches. So you're going to trim them to 10.5 inches long. I didn't write that in the cutting guides because it just got a little complex with all of the dimensions, and it's just easier to do it at this point. So we've got this, and we're going to go ahead and adhere it down, and I'm going to start with this black paper since it's on the bottom. Just adhere that right there, and then we'll adhere this one next. We'll take our washi tape next and put a little strip of washi down here. And I'm just gonna tuck the end up in there like that. Okay, so now we've got that. Then we're gonna take this photo, and you have this little piece of blue that you've gutted, and you're gonna mat this photo on this teal paper, on the gutted portion of it. And I just want a little thin teal border because the teal pops a lot on this layout. It's very much dominant. So I just want a thin little mat around it. Your eye really gets drawn to this teal, so it doesn't need to be a very thick mat. And then we are going to grab these embellishments. And I used actually the entire packaging to mount my photo on again. So I'm gonna dump all these out. I'm gonna cut this packaging right here on this seam so the fold is not on there anymore. And then I'm gonna use this to just mat my whole entire photo on, just like that. So I'll do that. If you don't particularly like using the packaging on your layouts, you could use more of that leftover white cardstock that you matted all your pictures on. But I like using the packaging when I can. Okay, and then this whole entire thing is gonna pop up on foam tape. In real life, you wanna put more foam tape than the little 5 pieces that I'm putting here. But I don't want to sit here for 5 minutes peeling off the back and showing, and so I only put 5 little pieces, but on your real layout, you would want to put more than just the corners with foam tape. Okay, I'm not going to adhere it down right now. It's just sitting up on the foam tape to kind of give me an idea of what's happening here. Okay, then let's see. I think we should work on our title. My pictures on my page were my son's birthday, which was a Wild Thing's birthday. And so it said, "You are our little wild thing," because I had you are our little, all those words are in here. There are so many words in here. You can go through and pick out, you know, you can make multiple, like, "You are my sunshine," "lovely life." I don't know. There's so many words in here. You might want to lay them all out. "Big moments," "our home." Oops, we got a couple words of home. "Lucky," "is," "little," "the." So you can make some titles. Now what I tried to do when I made my title is they had the words "you are our little," and then "wild thing" I made on my own, and I used some of this floss. Okay, so for this layout, I'm going to say "sweet family memories." So the first thing that we're gonna wanna do is, I will get rid of all of these words because we don't need them on this side anymore. We're going to alter the title, first of all, because it's very stark white on there. You can definitely leave it white, the color that it is right now, and it will look great. Or you could alter it, which I'm going to show you how to do that right now. I altered mine using Distress Oxide inks. I used iced spruce, old paper, and Uncharted Mariner for my title. So I'm gonna move this layout off to the side and I'm gonna show you how to work with the title. And I wanted my title to have an ombre look from like just 3 colors total over both pieces. I'll show you what I mean. I didn't want to do each word in its own ombre. Like, I didn't want each word to have 3 colors. I just wanted it to be 3 colors total. So I did the top of sweet with old paper, and then the middle of sweet with iced spruce, or the bottom of the word sweet with iced spruce. And I just kind of went in and just kept working with the ink until it kind of blended. And I also did the top of the word family with this iced spruce. So that way when they're all together, it's just one large ombre color. Okay, and then the very bottom of the word family, I used the Uncharted Mariner. And you don't need a lot of this color. Because a little of this dark teal goes a long way. And I actually think I came back in with some of this iced spruce to kind of blend them together a little bit better. Okay, so it says Sweet Family. I'm gonna put a little more. This is really dark in some places. Okay, so we are gonna do this again on the other side with some words on the other side of the layout. So I'm just gonna keep these on my desk, ready for when we get there. So Sweet Family, I'm gonna write times, Sweet Family Times on here instead of Sweet Family Moments. Sweet Family Times. Sweet. And then you kind of can place your words where you want them, and you can go ahead and adhere them down because we're gonna do some coloring and stitching, and I don't want these to move because this is how I am gonna know where to color. Okay, if you like your hand lettering, then you will want to do exactly what I'm doing. If you do not like your hand lettering, you might want to pull out a stamp set and black ink and letter these with black ink. You'll see what I mean. I went in here and well, you should use a pencil first. I will use a pencil first so I don't mess this up, because I did mess it up on my first one and I had to tear my whole layout apart. I'm gonna put times, and I'm gonna write tall and thin, because this is the easiest way for me to do hand lettering. Like I said, if you do not trust yourself to letter, I would find a stamp set and use a stamp set. And I tried this a variety of ways with the stitching, and I found that this worked the best, to kind of write the word first and kind of color it in thick with a thick black marker, because we're going to go in here and we're going to stitch with that ombre DMC floss that comes in your kit. We're going to come in and stitch right down the center of each letter, or of each, part of the letter. So it has to be kind of thick or you won't see the black. If I just wrote this thin, you wouldn't be able to see the black sticking out of the side. I think this is pretty thick. And like I said, if you don't like your handwriting, definitely find a thicker stamp to do this with. Okay, and then we are going to stitch, and let me show you how we're going to do that. I forgot to tell you, the reason why we colored the black underneath is because I tried just stitching straight onto this colored paper with this floss, and you couldn't read it very well. It was very hard to read. So I was like, you need this black outline. So all I did was go in here and I just poked holes about every 1/4 of an inch apart down the center of each letter. You might even have the stencils that are for stitching. I know that Amy Tangerine had alphabet stencils with a stitching template, where to put each of these little holes. You could try using that too if you have one of those. So I poked all the holes through the center of my letters, and then I'm going to come back in with my needle and thread, and I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm going to simply stitch, all of that. So I leave my whole floss in all the strands together. It's kind of easier if you cut a smaller piece to work with. And then got my needle here. And I use the needle with a slightly bigger eye because this floss is kind of thick. And just start in the back, and you might want to use the washi tape that comes in the kit to kind of tack this down to hold it steady. So it won't come through. And I just stitched every single in every single hole that I punched. So like I said, I'm going to go off camera and finish stitching, and I will be right back. Okay, so I got my word all stitched, and you can see the black outline behind it really makes it pop with that thread. So now we will get everything laid out here, and we can add our embellishments. And what I first started with is just a few of these leaves. Like I said, I did not put any of the butterflies on this layout because I didn't want butterflies on this layout, but I'm trying to find which leaves I did use. This is such a giant, amazing package of leaves. I don't think I used that one. There's so many pieces in here. So I can separate out all the butterflies while I'm looking over here and just try to get the pieces that I did use. And then I made some of them layered like behind my picture, and then I put some of them on top of my picture. Or not on top, but just behind the photo like that, like still popped up there. And some of them are layered up behind. Let's see. Got a couple more. Got a couple more that I know I added in here. This one, maybe this guy. And you don't have to use the same exact pieces that I used. You can use any ones that you like, but I'm going to use the same ones that I used when I originally designed this. I feel like I used that. I feel like there's one missing still. Oh, it might be this little guy. No, let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. I think this is close. Okay, so I've got 2 little leaves over here. I've got 3 down here. I've got 2 sticking out over here, and then I have 3 different sprigs up there. So I'm just gonna leave these kind of out because we're gonna use these on the next page. So what I did is I started in the back and I just put a little adhesive on these. Although they are acetate, with so much going on in this layout, you really cannot see the adhesive that I put on them. So I kind of like that. Oh, I almost forgot. You've got this piece of paper, and you're gonna wanna go ahead and cut out 1, 2, 3 of these little designs. Just fussy cut them. I'm gonna do this real quick, and I'm gonna go off camera to finish it up, and I'll be right back when I've got it all fussy cut. I'm actually going to cut one that's hanging off the edge here because I just need a portion of it. So I'm just gonna cut a portion of it off. You know, it's only half the circle, but it's okay because it's gonna hide underneath the picture and I don't need the whole thing. I just need a portion of it sticking out. So I'm gonna go ahead and adhere these down. I put one right here and I put one down here. I'm gonna cut another portion of one out for down there because it doesn't need to be the whole entire circle. And that way I'm getting to use as many of these as possible. Like that. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere them down. I'm gonna kind of hide this bird. And then I'm gonna kind of overlap those. Okay, now we can adhere the rest of these. So this one just kind of overlaps. About like that. And then this one, you can kind of stick in there like that. See, you don't see too much of these circles, so it's not a big deal that they're a little bit hidden on there. Okay, so I've got those. And notice this still is not adhered to the page because I'm just trying to get all these little pieces tucked and layered first. I can cut that piece down because it's just sticking out of the back, out of the bottom. And then this one just sticks out. And you can cut off some of the bottoms of any of these if you don't want it sticking out funny. Let's see if I got it like that. It's a little difficult to do this when this is movable, but it kind of makes it easier to adjust things when you've got this not adhered down all the way quite yet. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the bottom off this one so it's not quite so long. And I'm going to adhere this to the background. And then this blue one, I'm also going to cut the bottom off. And I'm just going to cut the little stem off of this one. And this one, I'm going to adhere right to the mat. And also this blue one, I'm going to adhere to the mat. So it's like this. And then we can go ahead and flip this over. If you want to add some dimensional adhesive to the back of those little white wreath circles we cut, you can do that. I'm not going to do that for this video, just for the sake of time. But then we can just put this whole thing where it goes. And it's got some kind of dimension there. And then down here, I took this cut apart card and I just cut it and cut this out, and then I cut it in half long ways. Or like 1/3 and 2/3. There's a little brown paper showing. And then I made that stick right out under here, and this is where I wrote my date on my layout. Okay, so that is this side of the layout, and we can start working on the other side of the layout. All right, so as we already know, we have the 3 photos that are matted. And on this side of the layout, we're going to start with the other piece of this color cardstock. This is the background of the layout. And then you have this strip that you've already torn. And then you have this is the thinnest one of these 3 pieces that you had. And you're just gonna go ahead and tear down the left-hand side, or one side, doesn't matter which side, one long side. And that's gonna go like that. And then you have this little tiny branding strip piece that we had to cut off of the blue paper. So we're gonna use that to our advantage to add a little of that color. And then you've got this, and this paper is not 12 inches long, as you could tell, but we are going to piece it together and we're gonna cover the seam. So you're not even gonna know that it's not one solid piece down the side. I will show you what I mean. Let's just cut 2 strips off of this paper. Let's see here. We cut 2 pieces off of this paper, just thin strips. And we're gonna go ahead and adhere those first, those 2 pieces. And they're going to overlap, and that is fine because we're gonna cover up the portion that overlaps. So Put one all the way to the edge, and the other piece, we're gonna make it overlap right around this area. So I don't want the overlap to be way up here because it won't be covered. You need to make it overlap further down. So you're gonna wanna adhere this, line up the pattern, you know, so it looks like it's continuing, even though it really doesn't even matter if the pattern is lined up, honestly, because it's gonna be covered up. And then you're just gonna wanna trim off the bottom of this. So right now, I know that you have a seam there. No one likes seams showing, even though you can hardly even see it now, but I will tell you what we're gonna do in just a minute. Next, you're going to take your washi and put a strip of washi all the way down. I just really wanted to bring every pattern of paper and everything that we have just a little bit onto this side of the layout. That's why we're adding all these thin strips, because I really want, you know, both sides to coordinate. And you can cover up some of the washi with this piece of the branding strip. Uh-oh. Okay, and next we have this paper. I'm gonna actually trim a little bit off the one side. It's kind of thick right here. I don't really want that thick of piece, but you could have that thick of the piece. It just depended on how exactly you cut this paper before. But if it seems a little thick, just trim off a little bit of the straight edge. And I really want a really thin strip of that blue showing, because like I said earlier, that blue is very dominant and you can see it right away. Like, it really draws your eye to it. So I don't want it to be too crazy of that teal color. And then this page, we just slide underneath. And then we've got our pictures. And I'm actually gonna slide a little bit of my picture right underneath there. So it just looks like it's coming out of the torn paper. Okay, so we've got that part of the layout done. And then you've got this little tag still that we used on the other half. So you're gonna put it, I made it stick out right around here, right around, remember this is that seam right here that we've got going on. So I put that close to where that seam is, but I know it's not covering the seam, but you'll see what I'm going to do. See how we cut one of these out? We're gonna place it right there, and it's going to go right off the page and cover that seam. So that's kind of how you can do that. And then we just trim off the excess, and then we will no longer see that seam. I might even scoot this over a little more, just so that little area that's got the design is trimmed off, because it kind of draws your eye to it. There you go, just like that. Okay, so now we've got to add a few more layers. And what I did is I took this journaling card and I added that to the page, and I stuck it right over here. I just trimmed it down a little smaller. It didn't need to be quite that big. I just stuck it right in there. And then I cut out another one of these circles. Let's see. I think I'll do this one. It's sticking off. You can use either a whole one that you've got like the full ones, or just a partial one, because again, it's gonna be sticking out from underneath. And I really like these. So there's a lot left that I can use on another layout. using the leftover pieces of this kit. Okay, then we can do another title on this side. Let's see, on my previous layout that I designed with this kit, I wrote, "Oh my, this is 5," and I did the 5 with the stitching. But we can use, because they had the words "oh my" and "this" in our ephemera pack, but let's see. So let's do "happy times." And then instead of putting another word with our stitching, I will make, I think I will just do some stitching like down these two plaid things. Does that make sense? So we're gonna move this "happy times" down a little so it's kind of overlapping here. Assuming that you can overlap these portions of your picture. Let's see. Maybe we'll leave them up here. And then I'll add some leaves and stuff down here. It'll look good. So let's get the ink, and we'll ink up the "happy times" again, just like we did the last one. So we'll start with the old paper on the very top of the word "happy." And then we'll move on to the iced spruce. And keep using the iced spruce on the top of the next word. And then just a little bit of this Uncharted Mariner on the bottom. And then I'm gonna go back in over this Uncharted Mariner on the bottom and cover it with a little iced spruce so it's not so in our face and taking up all of our attention. I want it to blend on the page, not just completely pop out on the page. I hope that makes sense. Moving on, so we've got our "happy times." And we are gonna put some more leaves down here. So I tried to kind of use a bigger one on this side, just so it could just pop out against the background, because the background is also a lot of leaves. So I did those two over here. And then I tried to use some littler ones on this side. And I tried to vary the color, a little of the greenish yellow, a little of the blue, and then one down here. I think I'm gonna add one more sticking out right there. You know what? I am going to add a tiny one, a smaller one sticking out right there, because it needs to pop off the colors. I'm gonna tuck that one way in and add it there. I'll show you what I mean right now when I have to cut these down. It's just because I have tape close to the edge here, so I don't have a lot of room to tuck under. So I'm cutting them off. I just want a little bit of this to stick out. Like that. And then I could put "happy times." And then I might have to cut a little bit of this off. Nope, I think I can do it. But that's how I kind of layered these. I tried to get different, you know, 2 different colors together to layer, and different sizes and different leaf shapes, just to vary it. And that's how I layered the goodies up. And I stuck these out from underneath black paper there. And if you feel like you have not adhered these down enough by just using a little tape like I'm doing, you can always, I think, add clear glue to them, and that might help. Or if you like the look of staples showing, you can staple them, which also would look cool. And you'll be able to see the staples, you know. But yeah, that's just some other options of how to adhere these acetate pieces. But I just like using tape. I'm gonna put happy times right there. So I am gonna go off camera and I'm going to stitch down those 2 lines like I was mentioning. I'm first going to go in here and punch the little holes for my stitching, just like every 1/4 of an inch or so. And then that way you'll be able to really, the stitching will really stand out, I think, too, because it's backed with this black stripe of this. Oops, I gotta get one more little hole in there. You might want to stitch before you tape down the leaves really well. But I'm gonna go off camera to do that, so it will be finished up in the final pictures here. So I finished up my little stitching on this side, and this is both of the layouts together, and you can see still pictures of this on the end of this video and some close-ups. You can also see some photos and close-ups on our website, Not Just for Boys Kit Club, under the kit called Aquamarine Autumn Days. And there's also a still photo of this on your instruction sheet if you bought this kit. It's on your instruction sheet. So thanks for watching, guys. You can join our Facebook community group if you'd like, where our design team members work with this kit and they make completely different layouts. So they are super talented and give lots of other ideas of how to use this if you don't want to use it in this way that I showed. So check out our Facebook group. It's Not Just for Boys Kit Club community, and we would love to have you there. And you can share your work there too. Okay, bye guys.